Next up on the agenda is Mika Odido, IOC UNESCO coordinator in Africa, and he's going to share some insights on the regional implementation of the UN Decade of Science for Sustainable Development. The stage is yours, Mika.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yes, we can both. Okay,
thank you very much. My presentation will be on the UN Decade for Ocean Science and Technology, and what progress you have made in planning for the decade in the region. First of all, the vision of the decade is to provide the knowledge system needed for policy and action to achieve a global ocean supporting sustainable development by 2030 and beyond. The decade was proclaimed by the UN General Assembly on December 5th, 2017, and IOC of Unesco was requested to prepare an implementation plan for the decade in consultation with all stakeholders, including member states, other UN agencies, NGOs, virtually all ocean stakeholders. Over the last 3 years, IOC has worked on this, organizing global consultation meetings with stakeholders, regional consultation. We established an executive planning group which took the process forward. The views of people who are involved in the planning, the science community, policymakers, private sector foundations, and UN partners, including early career scientists. In the planning process, 7 outcome areas were identified. First, a clean ocean where sources of pollution are identified and reduced or removed. Secondly, a healthy ocean where marine ecosystems are understood, protected, restored, and managed. Third, a productive ocean supporting sustainable supply and food supply and ocean economy. A predicted ocean where society understands and can respond to the changing ocean conditions. A safe ocean where life and livelihoods are protected from ocean-related hazards. An accessible ocean with open and equitable access to data, information, and technology innovation. And an inspiring ocean where society understands and values the ocean in relation to human well-being and sustainable development. In order to achieve these outcomes by 2030, several challenges were identified which need to be addressed. The first challenge is understanding and mapping pollutants and contaminants and their potential impacts on human health and ocean ecosystems. The second challenge that needs to be addressed is understanding the effect of multiple stressors on the ecosystem and looking at how we can manage and destroy ecosystems to their biodiversity. The third one was understanding the role of the ocean to contribute to feeding the ocean population. The third was a sustainable development of the ocean economy, understanding the ocean climate nexus, expanding the multi-hazard warning system for all sorts of climate and ocean-related hazards, ensuring a comprehensive ocean observing system that delivers timely data and information to all users, developing a comprehensive digital representation of the oceans, comprehensive capacity building, and ensuring that the multiple values of the ocean for human well-being, culture, and sustainable development are recognized and widely understood. IOC presented this implementation plan based on the 10 challenges and the 7 outcomes to the session of the General Assembly in December last year, which approved the implementation plan and requested IOC to regularly consult member states on the implementation and the Secretary General to inform the Assembly on the process of implementation. Several structures have been established to help in implementing the decade. The first is a Decade Advisory Board, which would advise the IOC governing bodies and will provide on the implementation of the decade. Then a decade coordination unit has been established at the IOC headquarters, which will be the central unit looking at how the decade will be implemented. Decade coordination offices are proposed focusing on specific region or thematic areas. This would basically be located in either UN entities or IOC decentralized offices, and would focus on catalyzing and coordinating decade actions, including calls for decade actions, organizing and conducting decade review processes, promoting cooperation, communication, monitoring, and resource mobilization. Then we had decade collaborative centers, which will be proposed by member states or other non-UN agencies, and decade implementation partners, which is basically open to all sorts of stakeholders. Now, what have we done in the region? In the region, we've had a process for developing a regional implementation plan, which is still ongoing. During this process, we've taken into account the key guiding frameworks developed by the African Union, including the Agenda 2063, the African Integrated Maritime Strategy, the African Blue Economy Strategy. And we've also noted that AU itself declared the Decade of African Oceans and Seas to run from 2014 to 2025. And we are looking at how we link these two decades. We had the first regional consultation at the beginning of last year in Nairobi, organized jointly by IOC, UNEP, WIOMSA, GIZ, CODIO, and SCORE. During this meeting, several key issues were identified that need to be addressed. Under the outcome area of clean ocean, there's marine litter and microplastics, oil spills, chemicals, eutrophication. Under predictable ocean, we had data and observations, research and modeling, governance. Similarly, under healthy ocean, under safe ocean, under productive ocean, and transparent ocean. I'll be able to share this so that you can be able to go through them. In addition to these priority areas, 5 key recommendations came out of the regional consultation. One was the importance of harnessing the demographic dividend. The participants recognized that the African population is really young. More than 70% of the population is below 30. So there's a need to see how we can empower them to be able to assist in achieving the decade outcomes. The second one was catalyzing research in several fields that were identified and linking the research results to society application. The third was improving the quality and quantity of research and transforming lives through innovation and robust application of ocean science. The fourth was strengthening research through stronger integration of science, ocean observing system, and improved science policy interface. And the third, the last one was establishment of university-based ocean innovation incubator hubs supported by the private sector. What have we done since the start of the decade? IOC is working together with WIOMSA on a regional gap analysis. We have 4 experts that are working on this, covering 3 Western Indian Ocean, Eastern Atlantic, Mediterranean, and Red Sea, and then one of them coordinating the entire process. We are expecting them to identify the current state of knowledge and data in ocean science, transmitted data research, as well as existing infrastructure, networks, partnerships, and resources in the region, to identify the knowledge gaps, scientific priorities, potential baselines, and provide recommendations on areas that we could work on together during the decade. The work they are doing is based on, first, the report of the regional consultations we had last year, and on similar initiatives that have been undertaken by various organizations and programs on the continent. We are expecting to have a regional kickoff conference, 13th to 15th December, where the results of the work will be presented Prior to that kickoff conference, we'll have a pre-conference workshop from 6th to 8th of December, where we'll present both the regional gap analysis and national priorities and strategies that we are also surveying separately. We are working with the Early Career Scientist Network to develop a booklet on the decade and also on other decade communication tools. I think I'll end there and welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mika, for sharing those insights. And I remember quite lively being there in Kenya. It was the last time actually that I traveled, so fond memories of that. Are there any questions from the audience? I see no hands. Okay, Mika, maybe as the name implies, it's a decade, and for us researchers, we usually count in projects of like a year or 2 years, and also WIOGEN is only so far funded only for 2.5 years now. How can such endeavors also support the long-term goals of the agenda? I can imagine that some people might be afraid of making a commitment that might reach beyond the actual project phase. Is there any way for us to assist?
Yeah, when we are looking at programs to be implemented during the decade, we are looking at different time scale. There will be projects that contribute to the decade. There will be other activities, even things like the training programs, which will contribute to the decade. So the time scale would really vary. The reason why we chose the 2030 is that that is the duration of the SDGs. So we are trying to link it to the achievement of the SDGs and the UN Decade of Action.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I see that Christine has her hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Christine from Kenya. Thank you for the interesting topic about UN Decade of the Ocean. I've always been wondering, how is it? It's 10 years to 2030. So what major output do you envision for these programs to achieve? And especially when it comes to awareness creation, we keep on saying awareness creation to the local community. What measures are we going to adapt to ensure that the output is measurable? And additionally, when you look at the blue economy prospects of the African countries, this is the time that we want to maximally exploit our oceans amid the issue of climate change, and also lessons from those who have maximally exploited their ocean. For example, the British are now calling for a stop to ocean dredging. So what are we going to do as Africans? Because this is our time now to exploit the resources, and yet the globe is now changing towards sustainable energy, clean energy, sustainable use. So what is the way forward for African states?
Africa really takes the ocean serious. Like I indicated, Africa actually declared this decade of oceans before the UN. One thing which is normally interesting is that Africa normally has the source of really good ideas. Even the Agenda 2063, which was adopted by the AU in is it 2014? If you look at it in detail, most of the Agenda 2030 of the UN is tailored on the elements of the Agenda 2063. Similarly, we copied the idea of the decade from the African Decade of Oceans and Seas. And if you look at the various processes, frameworks that Africa has come up with, the Africa Integrated Maritime Strategy 2050, it's a very detailed roadmap of what our countries are thinking of in terms of harnessing the oceans. And if you go through it, you see that the countries in the region really understand exactly what the problems are. It's a very detailed blueprint of where exactly we want to go. if you look also at the African Blue Economy Strategy, it also really provides a detailed roadmap of what we need to do. Therefore, Africa is not behind. Africa Union has this year created a Directorate of Blue Economy, which will be focusing on ensuring that all these issues are, all these frameworks are implemented. And the UN Decade of Ocean Science provides the opportunity of supporting the African Union with the science that will be required to harness the ocean economy in a sustainable way. So the key word is sustainability. We will not run away from harnessing the economy because there might be issues which might arise, but we look at how best do we address those issues. So what I'd like to emphasize is that Africa is taking its blue economy seriously, and Africa would like to harness the blue economy, and us as scientists should provide the information required to support our countries in harnessing the blue economy.
That sounds like a great start for a discussion to be continued in the chat, actually. So please share your opinions there.